In one percenter outlaw biker culture, you can group most of the women in one of 6 categories. One, lay. This is someone that is convenient to satisfy an immediate sexual urge without complicating things with emotional attachments, obligations, or money. The actual vernacular used for this woman is spelled with 4 letters instead of the 3 seen here. 2. Sweetie. This woman is somebody you date. There might even be a cohabitation, but no particular commitments exist. 3. Mamas or sweet butts are women that hang around or live at the clubhouse. She is property of the club and sometimes part of a stable of prostitutes or topless dancers that bring money into the club's membership in return for housing, protection, power, and a little profiling at events. She will also keep the clubhouse and motorcycles clean. Her primary goal is to be taken as an old lady by one of the club members. 4. Old lady. Some say old lady and others argue about using the D on the end of old. However you choose to pronounce it, when a biker decides he likes a woman well enough to keep her as his personal property, he takes her as his old lady. The term old lady is a term of endearment, not one of disrespect. She may or may not have any choice in the matter of being made his old lady. Once he has introduced her as his old lady to his brothers, it is his choice to determine if or when the relationship is over. He'll usually present her with a property patch to wear on her vest that says property of blank, club name followed by the biker's name, and the patch is in the club colors. In some cases, a tattoo somewhere on the old lady's body will suffice as a property patch. The property patch is the social equivalent of a wedding ring. A good old lady will attend runs with her old man, help in any way with club functions, and will even pack his weapons or drugs. Being an old lady is wife status and greatly respected. Sometimes there is a legal marriage and sometimes there isn't. This is strictly a personal choice. Also, having multiple old ladies at one time isn't all that unusual. 5. Citizen wife. Sometimes, bikers will legally marry a citizen wife and keep her completely separate from his biker culture. She is not included in on runs or parties and is kept out of club business. She is there to maintain a clean home front and raise the children in an uncontaminated citizen environment. Also, in some cases, an outlaw biker will keep a legally married citizen wife at home and also keep an old lady on the side as his biker companion. 6. House mouse. Young girls, usually runaways, will sometimes end up at biker functions, looking for a walk on the wild side. These young girls, depending on their temperament, can be taken home as a gift to the biker's old lady. She'll help with the housework and babysitting in return for free room, board, and protection. Most of the time, she is not used sexually, but that is always a possibility. This all depends on the dynamics of the home. If she's trainable, she may eventually become a mama or an old lady. The TV show Sons of Anarchy puts the lives of motorcycle club members on full display. This gritty, realistic look at the inner workings of a motorcycle club shows the important role of women, or old ladies as they're known to the men they live with and ride behind. What do old ladies do? As you'll see, their duties are somewhat nebulous, and their lives revolve around keeping their partners and the rest of the club happy, regardless of what they have to do. They typically don't know anything about illicit activities. Old ladies aren't involved in the club's day-to-day operations, if there are any. Bikers who rely on illicit activities for cash are similar to any other entrepreneur. They know too many cooks in the kitchen makes for a lousy meal. They have to work for the club. It doesn't matter if you're an old lady, a prospect, or a hang-around. If you're riding with the club, you have to be all about the club. This means you help out wherever you can, and if a patched member tells you to do something, you do it. In her Ask Me Anything, Redditor Former Old Lady admitted that despite the club having a family atmosphere, they got into fights all the time. This is not surprising when you're in a motorcycle club. The Redditor wrote about women getting into plenty of catfights about anything you can imagine, just bruises and black eyes. Regardless of the women's no-holds-barred attitude, members would never let it get out of hand. They aren't officially in the club. As much as women are a central part of any motorcycle club, this doesn't mean the men consider them official members. While they travel and party with the group, they can't make any of the decisions. In fact, they're essentially beholden to the men in the group. Her situation isn't unique. A woman named Catherine doubled down on those claims. These clubs are not democratic organizations. They are run very firmly by men who usually clawed their way to the top of this primal food chain, and considering the general savagery of the ordinary member, that's impressive. Women must be outwardly submissive, be thick-skinned about sexist attitudes, and be able to get along reasonably well with the other women. They cannot have their own bikes. The most important thing to every motorcycle club member, whether they're at the top of the food chain or merely around, is their bike. While it might make sense to outsiders for a woman to ride a bike, in the codified world of the motorcycle clubs, it's prohibited. Redditor Former Old Lady said she never had her own bike and was never allowed to ride. She admits her husband let her ride his bike around the parking lot one day, but he would have been in deep shit if anyone saw. Another old lady wrote that when a woman is near a man's bike, don't touch it, don't lean on it, don't sit on it without his permission. Doing so is a sign of disrespect towards him and his club. They can't mess with anyone's vest. A biker's club vest is as significant to them as their bike. Not only do vests and patches give them an identity, but strict rules surround the piece of outerwear. The most important rule: no one, not even a spouse, touches a club member's vest except for the owner. One old lady laid out the vest rule very bluntly. Do not touch your man's vest. It is sacred to them. Therefore offensive for anyone to put their hands on them. If you're cleaning and it's in the way, simply ask him to move it. He will appreciate the fact that you asked and respected it instead of doing it yourself. They prepare meals to make their men look good. One of the ways old ladies ingratiate themselves with the club community is by helping out and preparing meals for the rest of the crew. One old lady explained how she made sure to cook something memorable at a gathering to appear friendly and support her old man. A great meal always brings people together and entertains great conversation. Making a great meal also brings others to be curious about you and who your old man is. Elders are the ones that can see through a lot of bullshit and know who is genuine and who is not. So having said that, making a great meal for everyone to talk and enjoy is a perfect way to create an impression that you're giving and supportive. They respect the other old ladies. Regardless of the old ladies' frequent catfights or incompatibilities amongst themselves, they have to remember respect is not an entitlement. Others have to give it. It's a good idea for the old ladies to follow the golden rule, especially because their actions affect the group's view of their old man. One old lady advised not to start any drama with any of the other old ladies. She hinted that women who don't show respect to each other could face repercussions, such as being forbidden from coming around. They shouldn't walk in on club meetings. If you're part of a group involved in any illicit activities, it's common sense to mind your own business. Old lady Amy Irene White wrote about one of the worst things a woman in a motorcycle club can do: walk up to a group of members engaged in a private discussion. White explained, "As a general rule, if your man, any man, is in conversation with another biker, regardless of whether it's 29 degrees and pouring rain and locusts are eating your purse, you sit where he told you to sit until he gets through whatever he's conversing about." She said it doesn't matter what the men are talking about, it's bad form to interrupt them. Whenever their old man wants to get intimate, they must comply. An intense rule in a motorcycle club is how an old lady must get down whenever her man feels like it, regardless of where. When someone asked Redditor former old lady about her intimate life, she frankly explained, "I was never forcefully raped on the pinball machine or anything like that, not even close. Just a large group of people, drunk and stoned out of their minds. The couples start fading away to do their thing, and it leaves the singles. The guys start getting ideas and wham bam thank you ma'am. Sort of like any bar or college scene these days. I did do it once with my husband before being married on the bar with a room of about 50 people watching. Good performance from what I remember, but it was a bit embarrassing the next day." If their partner dies, they must remarry someone else in the club. Members in a motorcycle club see women as property. Old ladies don't get a say in anything they do, which includes what happens if their partner dies. Redditor former old lady recalled how after her husband's passing, the club expected her to get hitched to another member of the crew. This didn't work for her, so she left. The unattached candidates were mostly physically and mentally unattractive to me. One day, I just got up and moved. Went to live near a friend from my childhood. For a long time, nobody knew where I was. Then I was in contact with a few of the girls I was very close to. There are more stories about the old ladies. Sometimes, law enforcement officers would stay undercover as old ladies to bust motorcycle clubs for their unlawful actions. But that's another story for another day. Stay tuned to hear it out.